Big trade alert just went down, guys. I'm coming for my fantasy hockey championship, and today that's what this video is about. It's going to be about the big trade I just made in my fantasy hockey league. And the reason I want this video to hit you guys is so you guys can give me advice on what you think of the trade. And I also want to give you guys my rationale in case you guys have these players and maybe you're looking to move on from them. And it gives you a bit of a context of what it really means to sell high, maybe buy low, or also just get a deal done with a GM and how to properly negotiate when it comes to making a deal. Okay, so this deal was made as a 2-for-2 trade. I offered this trade actually, and it was accepted within about an hour of it being in this guy's inbox. So the player I'm referring to goes by the Mighty Ducks. And so we're in a 12-man keeper league. And so our league categories are in Yahoo, and we're a category league that has 4 goalie categories and about 12 skater categories. We used to be about 10-4 before we added face-off wins, and I believe we also added blocks a few years ago. So that was kind of how we transitioned into a keeper league. With that being said, I know you guys are waiting to hear the deal. You saw in the thumbnail that Morgan Rielly was on there, and you saw in the thumbnail that Theodore was on there. So what was this trade really about? Well, coming to my side was Mikhail Sergachev and Theodore, 2 defensemen. Now, when this trade was made, Sergachev had 0 points on the year, and Theodore had 1 point on the year. So I was getting 2 defensemen who had a point on the year. This was only a couple days ago, guys. This was less than a week ago. Now, lucky enough for me, I will get into the other side of the deal, and then I'll explain kind of how my guys have done since, which I'm very happy about. But on the side going to the Mighty Ducks was Kirill Marchenko, stud right winger for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Morgan Rielly, a defenseman for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So getting into this trade, my team was struggling with my back end. So I have a couple of guys that were being streamed, like Brady Shea, Matthias Ekholm, a couple of guys that were just really struggling to produce, and guys that are kind of, you could say, droppable. So with Kirill Marchenko, I actually kept him as one of my 6 keepers this past season, and I just see the floor on him, unfortunately. I see that what he's doing right now is kind of hit his ceiling, and I'm seeing a lot of other guys on Columbus at that bottom kind of threshold, including Boone Jenner, Sean Monahan, even I want to say like Dmitry Voronkov and some other players like Kent Johnson. And when I'm saying that, these guys haven't really had that big spark. They haven't proven to be power play 1 locks, let's say. And Kirill Marchenko, on the other hand, he's been thriving. I just think that the Columbus Blue Jackets have a pretty weak team overall and a weak offense. Some of you might disagree, but I thought that it was okay to sell high on Kirill, knowing he is a stud. He's going to have a great year, but I'm going to get 2 stud D-men back that should be PP1 defensemen for this season. Now, I know Theodore was kicked off of the power play, but Mark Stone's injured, and I think that's going to change again. Again, there's not really much competition to take that PP1 role with Pietrangelo sidelined. Now, the night that this trade went through, Theodore was lucky enough to get an apple on an empty net goal, so I won't really hype that up too much. But following that, guys, in the past 2 games, Mikhail Sergachev has 5 points. He has a goal and 4 apples. I believe 3 of those are power play assists. But all I have to say is that I was very high on this guy coming into the year, guys. Check my page. You'll see that I was really high on this guy. And the reason is he's a big shot. He's got one of the hardest shots in the league. He's an elite skater, elite puck mover. He does it all, guys. If you're on 3-on-3 overtime, he's the guy who's out there with Gunther and Cooley, or Gunther and Keller, or Cooley and Keller, whatever it is. You need a defenseman out there, and he's the guy. The reason Utah actually is doing so well is just because they have such a steady blue line. It's not just Sergachev. You have big boys like Nate Schmidt out there and stuff, but when in fantasy hockey, Mikhail Sergachev's a stud, guys. If you can trade for him now, I mentioned it in my buy low candidates, but it's a bit little late now after that 3 apple performance or 2 apple performance from Sergachev, but you guys got to do it if you can. Now, getting into Theodore a little, guys, the one thing I don't like about him is he does not lay the body. So I don't think he has any hits this year. That's the one really tough thing about him I don't like. Now, I got to figure that out. I got to see what I can do here, but I might be trying to move him, but I also know I get a lot of hits from my other big boys like Will Cooley, guys like Kiefer Sherwood, who I know I don't have in this league, but I'm not afraid of getting hits from my offensive players as well as guys on defense. I think if Shea Theodore can be a power play one defenseman who's getting a lot of power play points with Eichel, Stone, etc., then I don't have anything to worry about. With that being said, guys, I hope you guys like the player cards that I threw up on this video, and I do want to hear what you guys think. We're going to be starting a segment very soon where I rate your fantasy team. So if you guys want to see your fantasy team rated out of 10, I'll give you guys some ups, some lows, some just the truth about your fantasy team and if it can win a championship. You're going to have to give me some details as well as your screenshots of your team or a screen recording. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a new exciting series. So if you guys watched, please leave a like, please subscribe. We're already at 60 subscribers, guys. You can tell I'm new to this YouTube thing. But thank you guys for watching and have a great day.